is June 22nd, and we're out here in the creek thicket doing some scouting for hunting next fall. As a lot of you guys may know, this place holds a very special spot in my heart, as last Halloween night actually I killed my biggest buck to date on this unit, and also I know of several other big bucks that are in this unit, or that should still be in this unit, that I'm excited to hunt this fall. There's a buck I named Doubles last year that I got tons of trail camera pictures of throughout the summer before my camera got stolen. So a lot of you guys will remember that and will remember that deer. But as far as I know, he's still around. I actually think I was able to identify his track throughout the summer months, and then I think I saw that track as a pretty specific track, I guess, the way his toes were kind of like blunted in, I guess. It's hard to describe, but I actually think I have a picture of it, so I'll put that on the screen if I can find it. But it's a pretty specific track, and I think I saw it around Thanksgiving, so that doesn't guarantee that he's still alive, but it does. I have a pretty good feeling that at least he made it through the big part of the rut and the big part of the season when this place was getting the most pressure. So hopefully he's still alive. To my knowledge, he is. I haven't heard of anyone killing him. He's a pretty special buck. A lot of times word gets around on deer like that. So as far as I know, he's still alive, but he was a mature buck, and for all I know, he could have died of natural causes. So no guarantee on that, but I was in here during the late season last year, late muzzleloader season, bow hunting, and I was able to find two really good bucks. One of them was a for sure shooter last year, probably at least 4.5, just a stud of a buck. I got a little bit of footage of him on the camera, but it was really dark, so I'm not sure how well that turned out. I was able to really get a good look at him through the binos, because it was still light enough to do that. But he was a really good buck last year, so he should be even bigger this year. And I know he's still, at least he made it through the season, because it was one of the last days. But also with that buck was a pretty nice up-and-comer, I think a 3.5-year-old last year that I saw one other time besides that night. And he should be a shooter, just another stud this year as well. So really excited to get in there and do some scouting and see what's still around. It'll be interesting this year because this big ag field here surrounding the south side of the unit is in beans instead of corn like it was last year. Now, I haven't checked out the north side of the unit, but it'll be interesting to see how the deer respond to not having a giant cornfield. Last year they were just surrounded by corn and they had cover everywhere. So I'm not sure if that'll make this unit better or worse, because I can see it making it a lot better, especially for hunting, because the deer aren't going to be able to hide in the beans like they do the corn. I'd always have deer coming out of the corn just at any time of day, and it seems like they were just camping out in there, and they didn't really have to go anywhere. So it could make the hunting better from that perspective, but obviously it does cut down on the cover in this area. So hopefully it'll make the hunting better, but the deer will still feel like they have enough cover around here to really set up shop and call it their home. So I don't think it'll make that much of a difference, but it'll be interesting to see nonetheless. And I'm really excited because bean fields means you can scout it during the summer months and get some velvet footage, hopefully. So I'm excited to do that, and I'm excited to go hang these trail cameras. I brought 3 of them with me today. I have 2 spots that I'm going to hang them in for sure, that I know should be good. One of them was a spot that I killed my buck in, and then I brought an extra one just to make sure I have one in case I come across another spot that really intrigues me and I want to place a camera there. So anyway, I'm going to take you guys along with me. I'm also going to be showing you how I'm hanging my trail cameras to hopefully avoid them growing legs and walking away as they've done in the past. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm walking in on the trail that we used to drag out my giant buck last year, and really reminded me of that night and the whole experience in itself, and got me in a really great mood. Really excited to hunt again this fall, but I was also thinking I may never get to shoot a deer with that big of a body again. just being on this trail kind of reminded me of the drag out and just how difficult it was. It was about I think it was a 3 or 3.5 hour drag out, and thank goodness I had a strong buddy here to help me, or else I'd have never gotten him without quartering him. But thank goodness for him. But I was just remembering how hard, how difficult it was. And in this particular stretch here, it's kind of an uphill stretch. We had already been 400 or 500 yards into the drag, and probably a little bit more than that actually. And there's just logs everywhere. It was super thick. We were tired. It was about midnight at this point, and just being on this trail really takes me back to those moments, and gets me really excited to hunt again this fall. It's weird how those moments where you feel like you're gonna almost die can be something that you really look forward to in the off season, and something that I really want to experience again. But I was just thinking, man, I may never be able to shoot a deer that big, at least body size, again, just because he was magnificent. I mean, this is not an exaggeration, but I think that deer had to weigh over 300 pounds. You know, when I first walked up to him, that's the first thing I noticed was just how big he was, and you can tell it in the footage too. When he's on his feet, he's just big. He's brown and massive. So I think it's just really cool to be on this trail again and get reminded of that hunt. And I'm super excited for this fall and to take you guys along with me. So anyway, we'll get going again, but I got pretty excited there when I remembered all that stuff. Alright guys, I'm here at the first spot that I'm gonna hang a trail camera, and this is where it happened. This is where I killed my big buck on Halloween night. And one thing that I wanted to mention about this spot and about that hunt is something that I learned from the hunt, and really thinking about it after it happened over the course of months, reliving the moment. But what's interesting is I was sitting right over there. I couldn't even be able to shoot through it right now, but the grass was a lot lower. The vegetation wasn't near as thick. And I was sitting at the base of that tree and shot him basically right where I'm standing here. He ended up whirling and running about 50 yards that way and was down. But I believe what happened was that deer was bedded less than 70 yards away. I'd say probably 50 to 70 yards away. There's a point on the creek where the creek bends, and it's a brushy point over there. And I've never actually stepped foot on it, but I've looked at it. I don't really want to go all the way in there, but I've looked at it, and it's a little bit of a brushy spot, and it's a point, and it's surrounded by kind of more open-ish timber than, especially in this area here, it's really thick. But I believe he was bedded on that point right there. And the reason I think that, as opposed to him just working this creek bottom looking for does, which is what I originally set up on this spot for, I believe he was bedded in that spot because he was on a trail that is really not well used at all. It's a barely defined trail. I had seen it before, especially in the winter when you can actually tell, but it's right along the creek bank. Now 10 yards farther inland to that, I guess, is just a beat down, heavily used deer trail that gets used really frequently. And he was on the one that's through thick stuff. It's barely even defined, and he was on that one. So if he was cruising this bottom here, why would he be on a trail that's not really like the main trail that they use to cruise this bottom, I guess? And the only reason I can come up with is that that trail goes into that bed right there, and I believe it's a mature buck bed. A lot of times they love those creek points, and it's really a picture perfect spot for a buck to bed on the wind that we had that day. I think it was some sort of a southerly wind, and it would have been pushing pretty much all the scent in this area right towards him. And luckily I was able to come in a little bit to the right of downwind of him. I was still downwind, but I was kind of off the scent stream, I think, and that's how I was able to slip in here. And on Halloween, like I said, the foliage wasn't near as thick as it is now, but it was thick enough where there's kind of a wall there on this edge here, on this transition line, where it kind of blocks his view of me sneaking in. I don't think he was able to catch me coming in. So I think he was bedded right on that point. And after looking at trail camera pictures from the last several years of this spot, I think that's a mature buck bedding area. And that's good to know for this fall coming up, so I can actually focus on hunting that for what it is, as well as a big rut funnel for this big creek here. And so that's good info to know, but I'm going to be placing a trail camera somewhere around here. I'll have to find a tree that'll allow me to get it about 12 feet in the air and still be able to get pictures of deer coming through this spot. But it's going to be nice because I'll have this trail camera here and I'll actually have a working one. Unlike last year, I put one here and it didn't work at all, or else I probably would have gotten pictures of my buck. But I'll be placing this camera and I should be able to see what's using that bedding area. And then knowing what bucks are using it, if there's a mature buck using it, and knowing that that's a bedding area right there, or a buck bed, not even really a bedding area because it's a small area there, and I pretty much know where it is, will allow me to really pick out when he uses the bed and pick out the exact dates that are in the exact conditions where I need to be sitting here in case he comes out of that bed so I can get a shot at him. Now, a lot of you guys may be thinking, Hunter, why are you hanging a camera and going in so close to a buck bed right there? You're gonna just have to trust me on this. I don't think it's gonna mess it up too bad. I think deer know when they're being hunted by someone, a person, and when they're not. You can say, I don't know if you've ever been on a tractor and you're going through the timber or something like that, and you'll have a deer just walk out and look at you. And even my grandpa's told me a story of giant bucks doing this. He'll just be driving a tractor through a lane in the timber going to mow or something, and a mature buck will step out. They'll see him on the tractor. They know he's not a danger. There's a lot of agriculture around here, so they're obviously used to that, and they don't take that as a threat. And to a lesser degree, I think someone walking through the woods and talking to a camera, making a bunch of noise, is a little bit similar to that, in that they know that I'm not hunting them. Obviously they're still going to be scared, and they might run away, although I don't know that I've spooked anything yet. But I think it's to a little bit lesser degree when they see someone sneaking around the woods in full camo trying to be as quiet as possible. And I think they are smart enough to differentiate between that, and I don't think when you're making all this noise and stuff and they know that where the threat is and they know what you're doing, I don't think it has as big of a negative impact as you might think it would. So I'm not too concerned about being this close to the bedding area. If something was in that bed, for all I know, the mature buck would just stay there and listen and wait for me to come in. He knows he's got a good bed there, really safe. He knows where I am, so he might not even move in this scenario. And if something wasn't bedded there, then obviously I didn't really risk anything and I hadn't bumped anything. As far as ground scent goes, I don't like leaving ground scent in an area because any deer that come through there, all they know is that there's a human in the area and they can smell that danger and might be a little concerned about that. But the good news is there's really heavy storms coming in tonight, and hopefully that's going to wash away most of my scent in this area, and that'll take care of that problem. But that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'm not too concerned about being in here, and I'm not going to come in here very often at all. I'll wait at least a month to come in here and check this camera, maybe even longer than that, depending on how long I can convince myself to stay out of here and not check these cams. But I don't know how well that'll go. I'll stay out of here at least a month, that's for sure. So anyway, I'm going to pick out a tree here and see where I can get this hung. I'm going to take my Hawk Helium climbing stick that I made and that I added an extension to, and I'm going to use it to set the trail camera probably over 12 feet in the tree. And the reason for that, it's going to be a pain in the butt, but hopefully this will make it a little easier. But it is going to be a little bit of a pain trying to angle it to the right direction and trying to make sure that none of the leaves on the trees block the view or make it get too many pictures when they're blowing in the wind. But I got to do this year because for whatever reason, this unit in particular, I've had terrible luck with people stealing my stuff. And I don't know why that is. I'm guessing there's just one bad egg, I guess, that thinks he can just take whatever he wants, I guess. But for whatever reason, I really need to hang these trail cameras high and hope and pray that no one wants to steal my stuff. They might still see them with them that high in the tree. I think they'll be a lot less visible being that high up. But even if they do see them, hopefully they don't have a climbing stick or something with them to allow them to get that high up in the tree to take it. And hopefully they're too lazy to go and get something to allow them to steal it. So hopefully this will help a little bit, but it's definitely going to make it a little bit harder. I don't know what else to do though. So I'm going to look for a tree and get this camera hung. Alright, so the trail camera is hung, and I really believe that this is going to be an effective way to keep this trail camera from getting stolen. It is pretty high up there. No one's going to be able to get it without some sort of ladder or some sort of climbing stick. So hopefully that'll help me not lose this trail camera to thieves. But I also think it'll be helpful because a lot of this marsh grass here, or it's not really marsh I guess, but this thick tall grass here is over my head in most of the places. So if I had to hang the trail camera right here, you might miss some of the deer just because you can't even see the spot that they'd be walking in. So maybe this will help from a trail camera perspective as well. Just making sure we don't miss any deer walking through this area. It's pointed with it where it is right now, getting above this grass. It's pointed in pretty much the ideal spot to catch most of these deer that are coming through this area. So hopefully that'll be good. And took a little bit more time, but really it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal with the climbing stick. I was able to just get it set up and get in there and hang my trail camera. And it made it easier with this one because I have a homemade bracket that I strapped onto the tree. Perfectly legal to public land. It's a trail camera bracket that I just made from parts at Lowe's. And it's perfectly legal because nothing is screwing into the tree, but I strapped on the bracket and then screwed in the camera on that, and I was able to adjust it really easily with that rather than pointing it around with sticks. So it wasn't all that bad, and I definitely recommend this to anyone who is interested in trying to keep your cameras away from any thieves lurking around in the area. But I do recommend for anyone that is going to try this to use a lineman's belt, because it would have made it a lot easier up in the tree and a lot safer. I just happen to be an idiot sometimes, and I haven't got around to making one or using any of them. But I definitely need to get on that and make a really functional one that'll be kind of my staple lineman's belt for any of my mobile hunting this fall. But I definitely recommend to anyone who's thinking about doing this to use a lineman's belt for yourself to avoid any mishaps that might happen. I'm just an idiot. So anyway, we're gonna cross the creek now, go to the north side of this unit, and hang the other one trail camera for sure over there. Alright, well, you guys might call me crazy, but I think I may have just found Double's tracks already in the same spot that I initially saw them last summer. That's really kind of crazy, but it's got the same shape and it's a really big track. There's actually two sets of big tracks, two different deer that I think are mature bucks. And we just got a rain yesterday, a really heavy rain yesterday, pretty much all yesterday. So these deer have been here within the last 24 hours. Now, you have to be a little bit concerned whenever you know that the deer have been walking in mud, and because a lot of times that'll make the tracks look bigger. But I followed these a ways, and I'm pretty sure these are these are actually big tracks, and they're mature deer. So that's really exciting. And what's even more exciting is I'm pretty sure the way it's shaped, it's a pretty unique shape. I'm pretty sure it's doubles footprints. So pretty excited about that. On this side of the unit, this north side, it is bean fields as well, just as I was assuming after seeing the south side unit. And what that means is that this whole area here, this public land unit and this private land that I have permission to hunt down there, the small piece that connects to the public, is all surrounded by bean fields rather than corn as it was last year. So I'm excited to see how that affects the deer movement in the area and the way the deer just use the area in general. But I believe it's going to have a net positive effect, just because they won't be all hiding out in the middle of this cornfield where you can't really hunt them. But anyway, we're going to keep working our way along this edge. I'm going to keep studying these tracks. I'm really hoping they are mature buck tracks, and I'm thinking one of them is doubles. And we're just going to walk and see if we can find a place to set up these trail cameras. I might just follow these tracks and see where they came out of and where they go back in, I guess. But it's really cool to know, so let's get going. So I was really trying to pick these tracks apart and confirm that they're mature buck tracks, and I'm pretty sure they are. This is in like a sandy spot here that really doesn't get too muddy because of all the sand. And as I'm walking on it, it's really not acting like mud. And I know like this track is just as big as any of the other ones, and it is just a massive track. Really heavy deer. Look at the dew claws. And another thing to notice and take into consideration is just how far spread out these tracks are. So I'm pretty convinced that this is a mature buck, and even more than that, I'm pretty sure it's doubles. So I'm really excited. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Alright, so that's going to conclude this scouting mission. I got that trail camera hung finally. It definitely wasn't as easy as the first one was with that bracket that I had. Made it really easy to hang and adjust to where I wanted it pointed at, but didn't have another one of those, so I had to use just sticks wedged behind the camera to try to point it in the right direction. And after fiddling with it for 10 minutes or so up in the tree, I think I finally got it pointed where I wanted, and it should be pretty awesome. Should catch all the deer working along this edge of this field, of this bean field here. And I did have one bracket that screwed into the tree because I thought I was going to hang a cam up on the private side of the fence over there where I have permission to hunt. And there obviously I could screw in a mount and angle it down and everything where I wanted it to, but I wanted to hang it along this side and in this area here because this is where all the mature buck tracks are. I was able to follow them and see where they went in and kind of make some theories about what he was doing. And obviously he was feeding along this edge, but he actually never went out into this bean field, interestingly enough. And it looks like he kind of just grazed along this edge here, and he was kind of just walking back and forth along this this field here. This track's going both ways, so not exactly sure what he was doing, but yeah, I'm guessing it was during the night because he was kind of just walking along this edge here. And anyway, I wanted to set up a camera to be able to get pictures of whatever deer is making these tracks, because I'm almost 100% sure that it's a mature buck, and I'm pretty excited to get some pictures of them. And I'm pretty sure it's doubles, so really I'll be really excited if I can get pictures of him. Maybe he got even bigger, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm excited to come back here and check these. Realistically, I could come and check this one more frequently if I wanted to, because it's right along the edge of this agricultural field here, and it's really not going to mess too much up if I come in here and check it. But we'll see when I get back in here to check it again. But hopefully none of my cams will get stolen, and I'll get some pictures of some good bucks. So anyway, that's gonna conclude this video. If you like the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to Runk Outdoors. Thanks.